Okay, going to be doing a trade recap on what happened today. It's a crazy trading day for me, more so mentally. Like it took a lot of brain power for me. Like I said, the strategies that I'm used to, they're kind of set and forget. And once you see them, you set your trade, your order, and you manage your stop as best you can. It's not too much brain power, but today I was actually using some brain power. So let's kind of go over it. Let's start actually on the 24-hour chart or the daily. Oh, actually, before that, I was looking to do the new strategy that I've been testing and trying to kind of implement in my trading plan. Wasn't going to work out today. It's the 50 and VWAP strategy, where when price makes a strong move above them, you look for a pullback. The two indicators need to be close together and you play the bounce. If you wanted to go short, strong move down, needs to come back up. The indicators need to be close together and you short down. Okay, so once this happened and these indicators were a little too far apart from each other, I'm like, okay, not doing that. So I stopped looking at that pretty much, that strategy. So on the daily, like I said, for a while, we've been kind of battling over this daily 200 EMA. Bulls and the bears have been fighting over it, and right now the bulls look like they're trying again. They've tried for a while after this gap got filled. Let's see if they can kind of push it out. Yesterday I didn't take a trade, and today I was able to go long and capture some of this move, and so I'm going to go into it. I wanted to play again up into the highs of these wicks here, of these inverted hammer wicks, which I did. Now I'll just have to see if bears will push them down to prepare for tomorrow. So let's get into this. I usually don't trade the first hour of the stock market open, which I've told myself I will do now, if there's a setup I really like. If we are typically above this pink line, which is my hourly 50 EMA, I can only look for longs. If we're below it, I can only look for shorts. That's my typical trading strategy, the 10. And then when we're above this line, I have to look for the first bear candle opening and closing above the 10 EMA on a 3-minute. I get in above that candle and place the stop somewhere I'm comfortable with. So I'm watching price, and once this bear candle opens and closes above the 10, I'm like, okay, that's cool. We are above the hourly 50 EMA, which means I can go long. I was not comfortable with the amount of bull candles that happened in a row right here. But in hindsight, this still would have worked out. But for me, I don't know. It's a little scary getting in when we have gone up so high. So this purple line here, sometimes what I like to do for my stops is I will take the low of a certain pivot and go to the high of where I'm about to pretty much enter, and I'll put my stop a lot of times a little below the halfway point of that. So I was looking at that and I was like, my stop would have to be like that large. That's crazy. Again, this would have worked, but it was scary for me. I wanted to look for an opportunity. And at this point, I was like, okay, it'd be great if price came down, if we got a bull reset candle, which would mean people would go short under that candle and then pop back up and give me another bear candle like this. Then I'll be a little bit more okay to go long. That didn't happen. We're coming up, and then we come down here and trade down a little bit. I'm sure a lot of bulls were taking a little profit. Then we start bouncing, and this nice bear reset candle popped up. So this was the one I was like, okay, I like this. We're above that hourly 50 EMA. I'm going to go ahead and go long. So pretty much got wicked in right here, and it immediately started dumping, which is funny. Today I also did something a little different. I moved my stop really fast on this first trade. Once I kind of started reading these candles, I was getting a little more skeptical of going along, at least at this point. I liked the fact that this bull candle, I remember seeing this and did not, if it would have closed right under this blue line, which is my 10 EMA, I would have probably gotten out there. But I like the fact that the bulls pushed it up to close above that. Once this hammer candle popped in here, I said, if the low gets taken out, I'm just going to get out. I typically do not move my stop like that. Like it had only been, let's see, it had only been 15 minutes. But today I did something different because, I don't know, I did. And this candle came down like crazy, and it was coming down so fast. And as I was saying, I was like, yeah, I'm going to move my stop, and it stopped me out. It's coming down. And then it starts popping back up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? And this turns into this amazing hammer candle right there. And by this point, I was like, okay, I think we're maybe in some kind of pennant. I think this is called a pennant pattern. If you see this red line here, then we got the bottom. I was like, okay. So that was annoying because my original stop was here. So if I would have just gave it a little bit more time, it would have popped up, and eventually this would have worked out. So now I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Should I take another trade? Should I not? Saw this pennant pattern and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kind of go for it. Initially, what I did, because at this point, this was now a 10 EMA setup for the bears. This was a bull reset candle that opened and closed below this 10 EMA. And this was a very strong hammer. So I'm like, okay, if this pennant pattern fails, get in below the low of this hammer, and my stop could be somewhere like that. And I liked this stop. This is the stop I'm really comfortable with, and I would just ride that down to 1.2, 1.3. I was a little scared of this 50 EMA when I was setting this up, but it didn't really matter today. So I set that order up, and then I said, okay, if this goes in the opposite way of, if it breaks up, then I'd want to, get in. Well, you see where I have the order, and I liked it because it was pretty much the same trade as this right here. So basically I just got back in on the same trade. I got in a little lower. My entry was a little bit lower too. So I wasn't mad at that. Sure enough, we get a really big pop. I'm happy. This happens. And I'm like, why is this coming down? And I realized we were battling, where was it? Yeah. This wick right here on the daily, this wick right here. I don't know, you probably can't see that. Right here, that's exactly the area we were at. So the bears, of course, naturally were like, let's short again, but we're on this candle. Anyways, so we're coming down and I'm like, oh no, maybe I should have took profit. But now playing pennants on an actual trade in my Apex account, I don't think I've ever done that. No, I haven't. I've only stuck to the 10 EMA strategy. So this was not really a part of anything that I've been doing this whole time. But like I said, I'm using a little more discretion. I have played pennant patterns, and they usually, they're pretty easy to play. It's like, now this one was a little crazy, but if they break out, there's usually some kind of retest, and then people a lot of times like to get in there for the bounce, which actually worked pretty well. Or they fail, like it'll break out and it'll come down and it'll fail the retest or whatever, and then just blast right on through. And what I was scared or a little nervous for was I can only take two trades a day. Like that's the limit I've set. And I said, man, if this comes down and fails this retest and just comes right through and passes this hammer candle again, I can't take that trade. So I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to manage to stop as best I can, which this was like surgeon level of managing this stop right now today. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little proud of myself. Okay. We come up, we make this other little pattern I tried to mark out and I failed. Oh, like a little tiny attempt to break out, failed pretty quickly. After that, I was getting a little, again, nervous. I was like, oh no. Okay, we're probably coming down. Somewhere around here, I start to think about moving my stop. I didn't move it as fast as the other one. And so I went to see how long have I been in this trade, and I went ahead and marked when the hour mark was going to be coming up. And that's usually when I like to move make my first stop move, which I know for a lot of people that's crazy, but I don't know. I've been wicked out so many times. It's just what I've seen for just how I trade. And that came in handy on this trade. So this blue line you see here, this vertical blue line was my first stop move. And I usually break my stops into, different phases, right? So the first phase is moving it up to a 0.7 R loss. And so I had pre-marked that out, and something told me, which I'm going to explain here, to not actually move it that far up. And here's why. This was literally the only reason why on the time I was supposed to, move it to 0.7 R for the stop, I didn't. When we were pulling back up from this 50 EMA, we got another bear reset candle. This would be a new, so if I wouldn't have taken any of these trades right here, and I came on the computer and saw this new bear reset candle, what I would have done, because that's a 10 EMA strategy, I would have placed an entry above that, and I would have placed the stop a little bit below this little pivotish area. So it would have been like somewhere here, like literally, this is the exact trade I love to take with the 10 EMA. But I'm like, okay, but I'm already in a trade. What do? I didn't want to move that stop to here because I was like, this would have been the new trade I would have been in. And it's not uncommon for price to come down before it like pops back up. So I was like, I have a feeling if I move it to 0.7, I will get stopped out and it will turn around. And so I did move my stop, but I did it, I just moved it up a little bit. I didn't move it out, too much. Boom, comes down. I see this hammer and I'm like, oh my God, I would have been so mad if I moved it to 0.7. Like I would have been so mad. A part of me had a thought was like, well, if it comes down this far, what's stopping it from going, down here? But like, I had that thought process here and my original stop would not have been hit. So it's really crazy how this kind of works. Oh, I literally wrote a note right here of what I'm explaining. We pop back up, and now after the first stop move, then I'll start to move my stop every like 20-ish minutes or so. So then I start kind of marking out where I'm supposed to move it, which was here. And as I'm thinking of that kind of rule of thumb that I learned from kind of my mentor for right now, which is if you're in a trade and it's in the green and it comes back to the red and it goes back into the green, do not let it come back down to the red. So I was prepared for my next stop move to just put it all the way up here somewhere above break even. Like would have won something, not taken another bigger loss. So I had my alerts and I was just trying to be patient. I was watching some YouTube videos at the same time. Let me delete this one here. So what I'll add is after this point, I drew this blue channel that you see here. Hopefully you can see that. And I haven't talked too much about these channels yet on video, but this is another whole other thing that I'll get into later, I'm sure, on this channel that I learned from somebody. And typically on these channels, you get about 3 cycles, 2 to 3 cycles on each side. So you get taps, you get 1, 2, and then like 3, right? But at this point, I realized, okay, we've got 1 tap here, we have 2 taps at the top, we have 1 tap here in the bottom, and the second tap just happened. Usually on that third one, you get another bounce back up to the top, and a lot of times it breaks out from this channel and continues higher, which it's literally doing now. So this channel was giving me a little more motivation. We got over the median level of this channel, which I liked. Right here we have another bear reset candle right above that median, and so it just worked out really well here. And now that the bulls have kind of got past this, I wonder if we'll be able to close over Monday's high today. That would be great. It'd be great also if we could close over yesterday's high. Kind of see what it's doing. On my second stop move right here, I just did it a little bit above 0.7. And this was supposed to be my third stop move here. And on that one, I was just going to put it into the green somewhere. I was going to maybe put it, here or here just to win something. But I didn't have to do that. So I hope I wasn't too confusing on this trade breakdown. Yeah, definitely not my normal style of trading, but it worked out. Definitely had to do a lot more thinking, and there's a lot I'm leaving out just because, I can't remember every single thought I had during this whole thing, but I definitely love these set and forget type of trading, like my 10 EMA or the VWAP and 50 EMA strategy, where you see it, you take it, you just manage your stop. It just works out or it doesn't. And there's not too much thinking. Like I realized like trading these chart patterns and candlestick patterns, it's a little more brain power you need to like adjust just a lot of stuff. Anyways, and granted, I did start trading after we've moved up so much. So I knew that was a little risky. I'm not going to lie about it. So this is where my account is, my eval is right now. Not too much further from getting funded. That'd be great if I could get funded by the end of tomorrow, or, pass this eval by the end of tomorrow. Don't know if that will happen. I definitely want to be careful still. Let me know how your trading day went, if you took a trade. And again, bear with me trying to break down these trades. I may not sound, I hope I'm not being too confusing when I'm breaking this stuff down. I feel like I'll get a little bit better with time. It's one thing like thinking these things in my head and I understand it perfectly, but then like explaining it to somebody else is a little tough for me. So anyways, if you have watched this video all the way to this point, you're a trooper. I hope you consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll just catch you on the next video.